Hey guys, Drip Headlong, the most targeted citizen. Just came outside, and what do you think's happening next? What do you think's going to be the next thing that happens when I walked off the back porch? What do you think's going to happen next? Let me tell you. As soon as I stepped outside. As soon as I step outside. I mean, after 4 years, you would think the people on the internet would say, there's a problem. What I want you to do is I want you to go and look around all of the United States, around every airport, and go talk to people around these airports and say, do you have the same company, the same 2 or 3 planes going round and round and round, circles are all round all day long around your airport? Because it doesn't happen. Round and round all day long. There's no such thing as a flight path when you're 700 to 900 feet. There isn't a flight path. You understand? There's an entry and an exit at an airport, but there isn't a flight path. So hold on a minute. I'll get right back to you. So in the minute pause, what do you think's coming up next? In the 1 pause minute, 2 pause, 2 minute pause, what do you think's happening next? Directly over my head again. My imagination. Salt air leasing, that's the one. And explain to me, if I'm in this so-called imaginary flight path, why isn't it any other planes? Do you mean to tell me I know which planes it is by the sound of the exhaust? Yes. Do you mean to tell me no other planes besides Salt Air Leasing flies over my home? No other planes fly over my home except Salt Air Leasing. So you tell me at Hickory Regional Airport, Salt Air is the only place that flies planes in and out of there? I doubt that. Squarebody Blues. I am hurting today. Told you guys about my motorcycle crash many moons ago from leaving a bar intoxicated. hit a sharp curve after a bad rainstorm, hit pea gravel in it. I hit the ground at 45 miles an hour, went all the way down through a yard. I drug the bike up a hill like this, one-armed, drug it up, and rode it the rest of the way home, crashed. My buddy thought he couldn't even keep up. Followed me all the way home. I dislocated my shoulder, cracked a couple ribs, broke my scapula in a peace sign, all the way down like this. In 3 pieces, my scapula was broken in 3 pieces. Went to the hospital, they didn't do anything. It was bad, really bad, and I'm still suffering with that today. Squarebody Blues. Yesterday was not a fun day on this thing. I got it all lifted up, put it on jacks, and then these jacks right here flopped right over. So then it was on top of the jack, all the way down on the ground. I had to jack it all back up, do all that over again. But I've got the front end out. Really not that bad of a job. Wasn't that bad. I've been soaking the bolts down. Anytime you're going to do something like this, you're working on an old vehicle, soak your bolts. Soak them days, weeks ahead of the time that you're going to be actually working on it. But I've got it all soaked, and they all come out. Of course, I had to use a breaker bar, and I'm really hurting because those U-bolts are not fun. They have to be tight because that's really the only thing that holds it is the U-bolts. And then your hangers here for your leaf springs go here and there. So I got all that done. So that really wasn't that big a deal. The next step is I'm going to get my pressure washer over here. I'm going to blast this front end. I'm going to blast everything on the frame, everything up underneath here, all the body. I'm going to blast all that. I'm going to get it all cleaned up. And then I've got to try to get my buddy over here to help me load it up, because I'm going to take it to the 4-wheel drive to the monster truck place in town. I've sold the guy a couple of vehicles. I sold him my 79 Ford truck, and then Tina's old Bronco she had that I told her not to buy, and she bought it anyway because she's hard-headed. So we're going to pressure wash this, and I'm going to take it over there and see if it's a bent axle or if it's the bent tube. I think the axle's bent. It could just be this. It could just be this ball joint where it's, see, there's nothing left of it. It's just destroyed. It's destroyed. So I got to do all that. I'm going to get it over there somehow. Get it on my trailer, haul it over there. But we got to clean it up and see if it's bent, and hopefully it's not bent. Then I can put it all back together. Then all I got to do is just put the big leaf springs back on it, and then that'll raise the front up. Then the front's perfectly fine to be ran like that. I have to see how high up it is. It should be up higher than, a lot higher than the rear, but I'm sure it will be. I mean, I'm not going to be able to get out of this easy. I'm going to have to do it all, and that's fine. I've got the parts to do it all. The only thing I have to order is I've got to order this because I never went back to get the one that's raised. That's like 80 bucks. I've got to get the extended one for that. I've got to get a set of U-bolts. I'll show you the ones. These are the ones I took off of it. I don't know why that was longer than the other. I guess it's supposed to be, but these are the ones I took off, and the ones I got to buy are about 4 inches taller and 3 inches taller than those. So here's all my hardware. Hardware is actually in pretty good shape. It's not boogered up, and anytime you're doing this square body job, you have to beat the bolts out. But let me tell you, don't ever hit the end of a raw bolt. Never hit the end of the bolt unless you got the nut on it. So as I'm beating it in, then I turn out the bolt or the nut another half round. Beat it in, turn it back out. That way I'm extending it so I can keep beating it in, and then I just take an old screwdriver or a punch and punch it all the way to get the leaves out, and to get the front and the rear leaves, to get those out. That's the main thing there. But as you can see, the hardware is really not in that bad a shape. Nothing stripped out too bad. It's because you got to use the right tools for the job. Don't use wrenches on this stuff. You'll strip it out. It is too much torque to try to get off of wrenches. You're gonna skin it, and you're gonna tear up you're gonna round the nuts off, and it's just not worth the headache. So always lubricate first. I need to get me one of those old-timey antique squirters, but the best stuff that you can use to break tight rusty bolts is acetone and transmission fluid. That eats through rust. Acetone and transmission fluid. Now I just did the regular basic PV blaster yesterday because that's what I had, but I've got to get one of those antique squirters where, you know, the old oil cans. I need one of those but the acetone and transmission fluid, it just eats through, and I'm hoping I can get all these projects done so I can start working on my 400 small block project, the one I used to have in my van that was vandalized, and I ended up running it hot and blow the intake gasket and one of the plugs. So hopefully I can get that thing unstuck and drive it again, because that is a hot rod sitting right there. I've had that thing in a 79 Chevy van at 120 miles an hour. You don't have to believe me, but I'm telling you, I had that in a van at doing 120 miles an hour. That thing was a hoss, and it hits a heck of a lick. So I've still got the heads for it. I've still got all the push rods. I've got everything for it. I sold the intake, and I sold the distributor. So I've got an intake in there. I got I think a single plane high-rise intake in there. And I'll have to buy another carburetor. I'll probably go with a Holley 650 on that. I don't need anything big, but hopefully I can use that. Here's the plane again. As soon as I come outside, it's round and round on top of my head the whole entire time. So my purple power has been funked, and I don't think it's going to cut the grease that I need to cut. So I've got to go to the hardware store and get what I need for that. But you guys have a good day. I'm busy. I'm at it. I'm late start today, but I got to do what I got to do to survive, to keep moving. God bless.